Hi friends, it's Emily. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, or thank you for stopping by. Today I am going to be doing a product review for the Oral Detox Spray Advanced TRS. If you've heard of TRS and weren't sure if the hype about it was true and you just wanted a person's honest opinion and perspective and experience on it, then this video is just for you. If you're not sure what TRS is, I will go into a brief summary of what it is, and also I will leave some resources and studies down in the comments below if you want to do further research and study on your own. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. I do want to put a disclaimer on here that it is very windy outside today where I live, and I am sitting right next to a window where there is a tree and the branches are grinding on the side of the house. I apologize for the background noise, but we're just gonna roll with it. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to go into a really brief summary of what TRS is before I talk about my experience and my thoughts on it. And then at the very end of this video, if you're interested in learning more about TRS, how to purchase, etc., then I'm going to be including that information at the end of this video as well as in the description box. This is TRS right here. So honestly, it is tasteless, colorless. It tastes pretty much just like bottled water. So TRS is made up of nanozeolites, clinoptolites. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that second word correctly, but pretty much what the zeolites, clinoptolites do is they act as mini magnets in your body, and they attract heavy metals and toxins. They then encapsulate the toxins and then safely remove them from the body. TRS is completely safe as it is passive in the body. It is not biologically active, so your body processes it and then safely removes it from the body via sweat, urine, and feces. TRS is in your body for 4 to 6 hours and then it is safely removed. Although you might experience detox symptoms that will last way longer than 4 to 6 hours, that is how long TRS is in your body. TRS will help to safely remove heavy metals as well as other toxic elements like mercury, aluminum, lead, arsenic, fluoride, barium, and lots of others. TRS will also remove pesticides and insecticides, including glyphosate. It will also remove toxins from molds and yeast, plastic residues, carcinogens from smoke and haze, radioactive materials, and any other toxin with a positive charge. Okay, so why TRS? Why did I get started with TRS and how did I learn about it? So my son Landon, he is 18 months old. He had a lot of gut issues growing up. When he was even a newborn, he had a lot of reflux, a lot of allergies to different foods. When I was breastfeeding him, he was reactive to gluten, dairy, and soy. I started on the GAPS diet for him when he was about 8-9 months old, and if you're not sure what the GAPS diet is, it stands for gut and psychology syndrome, and it's pretty much a diet for those with leaky gut. I suspected that Landon might have heavy metal toxicity as he was exhibiting a lot of signs of heavy metal toxicity, and not only that, but I suspected that he had candida overload as well, and I suspected that I was dealing with candida as well. And for my son, when he was about 6 months old, he started to show signs that he was a little bit delayed in areas. I wanted to ignore it for a long time, but just when things become patterns, you can't ignore it anymore. And I wanted to find a way to help my son. And like I said, we started with the GAPS diet, and he did have some gains from that. His gut was definitely improving, but I felt like there was more underlying issues than what the GAPS diet could help for him. So I reached out to a group on Facebook and someone, God bless them, for telling me about TRS. And I joined the TRS Facebook group, and I was just blown away by the positive stories on there about how children were helped with leaky gut and with food allergies. By the time I bought TRS, he was 9.5 months old, and he was only sometimes responding to his name. He was not clapping, he was not waving, he was not pointing. He was making eye contact, but it was only for a couple seconds at a time. He would never really just look me in the eyes and stay focused on me. He used to, but after about 6 months, I definitely noticed a change in his eye contact. Other things that he was doing some stims. If you don't know what stims are, they're stimulatory behaviors, and you see them a lot in children on the spectrum. So those with sensory processing disorder, and then those with Asperger's syndrome and with autism. So some stims that I noticed him doing, he would do this with his fingers a lot. He would head bang sometimes. He would bang his head on the back of his high chair, and then he would bang his head a lot in his crib, especially when he was trying to fall asleep. And then another stim that he would do is he would, they would almost be like mini convulsions, it seemed like. It happened a lot of times when I was changing his diaper or changing his clothes. What he would do is he would arch his back and kind of twist, and his mouth would be open, and he would like fling his arms and his legs. Definitely scary. And looking back, now that those behaviors are thankfully gone, I definitely know that those were all types of stimming behaviors. And other things my son Landon was exhibiting, he was not doing any babbling at all. My whole days spent with him were pretty much, he was silent. He would laugh. He was a very, very happy baby. Happy, happy, happy. Anyone who knew Landon, he was such a happy baby. But he would not babble. He would not attempt to copy any gestures we were doing, or any sounds that we were doing. So no babbling, no copying of gestures. I would say mama and dada to him all day long, and he would look away. He would look away when I would talk to him a lot of times to get him to copy us back. And that was another red flag to me, that he just did not seem interested in trying to copy us. I would do patty cake all the time. I would do other, like Itsy Bitsy Spider, and he would never attempt to copy my gestures. Another red flag in my book, especially at 9.5 months old. So besides all of that, all of the gut issues, he would never stick out his tongue. Never, ever, ever. After about 6 months old, he started doing like blowing raspberries at 5.5 months old. But then after 6 months old, I never saw him stick out his tongue again until he was 15 or 16 months. All of those things combined, I knew that something was off. I knew in my mama gut that something was going on, and I wanted to help him, give him all of the tools and resources that I could to help him thrive. And that is why I took the plunge and bought TRS. And that is where not only Landon's life, but my life completely turned around for the better. What I was experiencing before TRS, I've always had gut issues too. I know Landon probably gets the gut issues from me. I've always thought that I have issues. I wasn't sure what my issues were, and now looking back and still dealing with those issues too, that I have heavy metal toxicity, lots of gut issues, lots of inflammation in my body, many injuries over the years, chronic tightness in my body, inflammation, like I said, really painful, heavy periods during my monthly cycle, anxiety, not really depression, but definitely anxiety, and some OCD tendencies. and hypochondriac tendencies. I've had so many x-rays, lots of MRIs. Okay, so now that I've talked about what got us started on TRS, the things that we were experiencing prior to starting TRS, I want to go into the detox symptoms that Landon experienced and that I experienced. So I'm going to talk about myself first. So this tree outside is driving me nuts. We have been on TRS for 9 months now. And my main detox symptoms this whole time have mostly been really tired. And the first couple weeks on TRS were really, really rough. We started out on 1 spray every other day. And even then I was exhausted for a couple weeks, as in so tired. I could not keep my eyes open. It was really hard to function, honestly, so I recommend going really, really slow. The detox symptom I had for the first month on TRS was probably emotional detox, and they say that this is very, very common when you're detoxing. For me, I've always struggled with anger, and that came out a lot in my detox. My husband liked to call it the bitch spray before he started on TRS. And it was true, guys. I was not my best self. I was very cranky, very ornery. I would snap like that. But honestly, it only lasted a couple weeks. And then my anger has gotten so much better. And I'm going to go into the positives a little bit later. But just know, it did get better. I had a lot of gas and bloating, and that has continued throughout this whole process. It got really, really bad a couple months into TRS, and not only gas and bloating, but I would get really bad stomach pain at the same time every single day. And I honestly think that that was just toxins dying off in my body and then trying to leave my body, and the stomach pain was just a buildup of gas in my system. And it was so weird that it would happen at the same time every single day. Another detox symptom that is so crazy and interesting to me was burning with urination. There has been 3 times now in these 9 months that I thought I was getting a UTI. I actually did have a UTI back in 2013, and I haven't had one since. But I was so sure I was getting a UTI. I wasn't having any trouble urinating, but it would burn so bad when I would go to the bathroom. What was actually happening is my body was detoxing acids. So when your kidneys are finally filtering out old metabolic waste, a lot of that can come out as acidic and it will burn. So pretty much what was happening is my body was just deloading a ton of old metabolic waste and acids, and it comes out with a burn in your urethra. And sure enough, after a couple days, it went away. And then a couple months later, it came back, and I was worried again, am I getting a UTI? But no, I just increased my water, and sure enough, the burning went away. And then it happened again a couple months later, and along with a couple other symptoms that I was having that was detox related, I figured that it was detox since it had happened twice before that. And sure enough, it went away quicker that time. It was only, I think, about a day before it went away. Okay, so now that I have talked about my detox symptoms, I want to talk about the gains or the positives that I have had from taking TRS. My main gain has been hair regrowth. You guys, I have struggled with hair loss since, oh gosh, maybe 2012, 2013. I wasn't balding necessarily. My hair was regrowing, but I was just losing my hair at a faster rate than it was regrowing. And I was prescribed a steroid solution to put on my scalp. I dealt with a lot of hair loss after I had my son. And I feel like I'm gonna try to find, I have an after picture. I don't think I have a before picture of what the back of my head looked like before I started TRS. But even before I was pregnant, I was noticing that I was getting a bald spot on the back of my head. When I would do braids and have a part down the back of my head, it would kind of be like, instead of just my straight part, it would be my part, and then there was kind of like a circle around it. So you could definitely see an outline of where my hair was significantly thinning out. And then I've always had like a cowlick on the left side of my head, so my hairline does kind of go back, but it was just receding worse and worse and worse. And it got terrible after I had my son, because postpartum hair loss is a real thing, but for me it was extra bad. And I feel like my hair is actually growing in now. I had my husband take a picture last night of my hairline when my hair is parted down the middle and the back, and it is so much better. My hair is actually growing in back there, and it's amazing. And I'm actually getting little baby hairs where my cowlick used to be, which is amazing because I never had hair growth where these baby hairs are growing in. And another awesome thing is I have several gray hairs, but I saw someone post in the TRS group that the gray hairs that they were getting, when they would pluck a gray hair, they actually noticed that the root end was starting to grow in their natural color. So the end of the hair was gray, the grown out part, but the part that was actually coming out of the hair follicle was their original color. So I wanted to test that, and you guys, sure enough, I plucked one of my gray hairs and it was starting to grow in my natural dark brown color. My eyes are definitely brighter and more open, and my eye color has actually brightened. I'm going to post two pictures up here. One picture is about a month into starting TRS. I didn't take a picture when I first started TRS. I mean, I did, but the lighting is not good. So I'm going to post a picture of what my eyes looked like in good lighting about 1 month into TRS, and then another picture. I'll try to get an updated picture. I really haven't done that in a couple months. But you can see that my eyes are just so much more brighter. You can see the pigment in my eyes, and my eyes used to just be all dark brown. And now I do actually have a little bit of green on the outer corners of my eyes, like the bottom corners. My gut is definitely still a work in progress. After 29 years of damage to it, that's not something that's just gonna get better right away, but honestly, it is improving. And I'm doing other things to help with my gut, a really good probiotic, and then a probiotic protein powder. And so those things I know will help, but my gut is definitely a work in progress. It's definitely gotten better. I know that I've passed yeast. I actually passed parasite fragments one day, and then the next day I passed parasite exoskeletons in the toilet, which is disgusting. And you might ask, how do you know it was a parasite? Yeah, I've looked at lots of pictures online. That's how I know. And it was gross. My seasonal allergies are so much better. I started TRS in April, and April is when sometimes late March to June is when my allergies are really bad. I used to get such bad postnasal drip. I would wake up in the morning and my throat would just be caked in postnasal drip, and I would have to do a sinus rinse every single day in order to be able to function. I would get this terrible taste in my throat from the postnasal drip, and it was just funky and disgusting. I was doing sinus rinses, and then within 3 weeks of starting TRS, I didn't have to do a sinus rinse anymore. And guys, it has gotten so much better. And my husband, when he's been on TRS, he was able to stop allergy medication. He takes Allegra D. I wasn't taking anything because I felt like no medication ever helped my allergies. But he was able to stop taking Allegra D about a month into taking TRS, and he was feeling totally fine just using TRS and helping his allergies, which is awesome. So if you got allergies, give TRS a try. I have a terrible memory, and I always thought that it was just how I am. But now I'm really thinking that it was rooted in toxicity and heavy metal issues, because I'm able to recall memories a lot better now. I just feel like a lot of childhood things are coming back to me, and not only childhood things, but just memories even from 6-7 years ago or back in my college days I'm remembering now. And a lot of that I could never remember or never recall. It's crazy what I can remember now. Definitely have a long way to go. I still do feel like my memory is fuzzy in a lot of areas, but I can remember a lot more now than I used to. So that's been a definite positive for me. And now I can actually remember my dreams. And if any of my friends are watching, you guys will know I've been mentioning how crazy my dreams have been recently. So vivid, so clear, and not only do I having vivid dreams, I remember them really well when I wake up. I remember before starting TRS, I would wake up from a dream, and it would kind of be, I would remember it, and then everything would just kind of shrink until it was just wiped, and I couldn't remember one thing about my dream anymore. So very, very strange. So that is everything for me. Now I want to talk about my sweet baby Landon and his detox symptoms. Day 1, he had emotional detox. How I knew that the TRS was working, Landon had never ever resisted anything until he started TRS. And as much as parents might think, oh, well, that's great, your baby was just so complacent, he was almost too complacent, because he just didn't seem really in the moment sometimes. And I remember after the first spray of TRS, so we did it at night, and then that next day he threw his first fit. It wasn't a fit, like a tantrum. He definitely was going against something that I wanted him to do, and I had never seen that before. And just the fact that he was showing emotion like that, I knew that he was going through something. And he was just, definitely the fussiness kind of lasted, and then the sleep. It definitely impacted Landon's sleep. He has always struggled with sleep. He's pretty good for the most part now, especially at nighttime. Nighttime, he's 95% of the time fantastic, unless he's teething, and then it's kind of a different ballgame when he's teething. But he really, really struggled with sleep, especially nap times. And starting TRS, things got worse. And that kind of freaked me out, but I just wrote it out. And then eventually the sleep got much improved. The stimming got worse. It definitely was exacerbated for a while. He did more head banging in his high chair, more stims. He would be doing toe walking. But I wrote it out, and it is so much better. He never does this anymore. He never headbangs. Or like I said, if he does, it's just a part of his detox process when he's going through something neurologically, and then it goes away. It's definitely 99% improved, which is awesome. Other detox symptoms, which I was very much expecting, he had a lot of loose poops. He would kind of go in between constipation and loose poops. And I would freak out every single time, whether it was constipation or whether it was loose poop. I was concerned he was either pooping too little or too much. And there were several times where his poop was mucousy, and I was also at that point trying to feed him more solids. So I was worried, is it the detox or is it the new food? And it was definitely the detox. He passed parasites. I actually have a picture of one of the parasites that he passed. I am not going to share it with you because that's gross. For those of you who don't know, I had a really, really tough time breastfeeding Landon, and it always seemed like he never wanted to eat. He was never interested. I never knew when he was hungry, and it was a battle trying to get him to eat. I would feed him every hour and a half because he would barely eat. Within a couple days of starting TRS, he actually got a full feeding from me. And not only got a full feeding from me, he did it in the car. And right then I knew, I'm like, this stuff is working and it is awesome. And now he asks to nurse, and he is a total booby monster. He still nurses 3 times a day. And so I went from having a baby who could care less about eating and wanting to nurse to actually asking to nurse and wanting to stay latched for sometimes 30 minutes at a time. It is truly amazing what this has done in his little brain. Other detox symptoms, he had eczema, definitely had eczema on the backs of his calves, on the backs of his arm, and then on his cheeks. By no means was his eczema ever bad. It was totally able to be controlled just with lotion. So I know so many little babies out there really struggle with eczema. So he did not struggle with eczema by any means. But when we used detoxing, he got a flare-up of eczema. And once again, I was not sure if it was the foods that I was feeding him, because I was still trying to do the GAPS diet and introduce new foods, or if it was detox. And it was definitely detox. His eczema flare-up lasted, honestly, probably about a month, and then his eczema went away. Okay, so those were Landon's detox symptoms, and now I want to go into Landon's gains of being on TRS. And I just want to shout from the mountaintops how much this product has helped my child. I feel like before TRS, I knew a shell of my child. I loved him with all my heart, and he was wonderful. But by giving him TRS and him detoxing all this crap in his body, he is becoming the best version of himself. And it is so beautiful to witness that and to see him blooming as a person and becoming the truest, most healthy version of himself. Right before we started on TRS, my son's pediatrician actually referred him to see an endocrinologist because she was worried about his growth, in particular with his height. He had fallen off his growth curve. He had been trending down in the growth curve, but when he went from the 5th percentile down to the 4th percentile, she wanted him to be seen by endocrinology to rule out any kind of growth hormone deficiencies, anything like that. Within starting TRS, he grew an inch within the first week of TRS. And since then, he has grown consistently a ½ inch every single month. And that was not like him at all. Prior to starting TRS, it was always, he would not grow for a month at all. And then all of a sudden, he would like jump a little bit. And then sometimes he wouldn't grow for a whole month and a half. And then he would jump a little bit. But still, even though he would jump up, he would still be overall trending down on the growth chart. So he was kind of trending in like the 17th percentile, and then the 15th percentile, and then all the way down to, like I said, the 4th percentile. And then that's when we were worried that there was an issue. But since starting TRS, and I can insert a chart of his growth chart over the months, And then I'll try to put a circle of where he started TRS. You'll be able to see the jump up, and then he's grown a 1/2 inch consistently since then. He's now in the 20th something percentile for height, which is awesome. It's amazing. And also he jumped up in the weight percentiles as well once he started TRS. He's now in the 40 something percentile for weight. And so that's been a real blessing to not have to worry as much about his growth. Like I said, his eczema is now gone and his nails are growing faster. His hair grows like a weed, which is awesome. He eats really well. He now loves food. And like I said, he loves to nurse. He actually tries to copy our gestures now. And that's been something that's taken a long time. Some of these detox things, it was just right away, and he would be improved in that area. But in the area of language, copying us with gestures, touching his face, sticking out his tongue, all of those motor planning things, it's been a very gradual process to get him where he is today. But he will now stick out his tongue. He started sticking out his tongue a couple months ago. I had not seen him stick out his tongue for 10 or 11 months. And it just made me so happy that he was sticking out his tongue. And he now will do like pat a cake, and he'll clap now, and he points and he waves and does other little gestures. He does signs now. Like he'll do more, he'll do please. So it's just amazing to see him taking off. And he's now copying us verbally too, which has been even more slow to emerge, but he is doing it now. And he is being seen by speech therapy. He goes to a speech therapist once a week. So TRS along with speech therapy is just really doing wonders for him. And he has about 25 words now. I actually haven't added more words, so he probably has close to 30 words now. And he's just doing awesome. His eye contact is so much improved. He'll just kind of stare me down now. Before, he would kind of look at me for a couple seconds and then look away and not really meet my gaze a lot. He responds to his name, which is awesome. Before, I would have to say Landon, 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 and sometimes even saying it 5 or 6 times, he would never turn his head. So that's very much improved now. One thing I noticed when starting TRS, and I did note this in, I was kind of keeping track of his detox symptoms and his gains and such when we first started TRS. He was so much more observant. Within the first couple days, he noticed things that I had never noticed that he noticed before. So he was looking at the lights. He would notice crumbs on the floor and pick them up and kind of look at them. So he would be noticing things that he had never noticed before. Landon also had a couple of little not moles because they weren't big, but there were little dots on his face that were a little bit raised. And within, I can't remember, either a month or 2 of starting TRS, those moles disappeared. And I'll actually post pictures of those just to show. But that's amazing that those were obviously buildup of toxins trying to come out through the skin, and TRS helped him rid those in his body. So that was another huge gain for him. And then another gain for him is that he is no longer reactive to gluten or dairy. I started having a little bit of dairy and gluten back in the fall, and he was not reactive, and he has actually had gluten and dairy several times, and he has had no reaction. The GAPS diet helped tremendously, but even doing the GAPS diet, he still was reactive to gluten and soy, and that was gluten, soy, and dairy through my breast milk, which is extremely filtered down. So now the fact that he has eaten gluten and dairy several times with no reaction really shows that it's been TRS that's been really the key to helping with his food allergies. So if you have a little one with food allergies, or if you have food allergies or sensitivities, TRS can really help you. And I think my favorite gain of all, up until 18 months, Landon had never said mama with meaning. He had said it here and there, but never directed towards me. It was just more of a babbling thing. And I think it was right around Christmas time, he started saying mama with meaning. And I'm gonna put in a little video of him saying it. And it was just the best Christmas gift, best New Year's gift I could have ever received. And I know that it's been TRS that's really, really helped him. And it's just made my mama heart sing to see him so happy and thriving and healthy. And it's beautiful. So before I start crying, I'm gonna stop there. Landon, where's mama? Thank you. So that is it for talking about detox symptoms, gains, etc. for me and my son. Now, if you are interested in how to go about buying TRS, then watch this next part of the video. So to get TRS, you will have to join the Facebook group, which is TRS a safe heavy metals detox. So join that Facebook group. It is a closed group. And then there will be a pinned post in the group, and that is where you can go to purchase TRS through the Cosiva website. So I recommend doing the auto ship option, because if you just buy one bottle, I think it's like $78 or something like that. But if you do the 3-bottle auto ship option, then it's only $50 a bottle. I only bought one bottle at first because I was very wary and hesitant if it was going to work, but it worked wonders. And now we're on that 3-bottle life. It is expensive, but it is so worth it. So you might be thinking, why do you have to buy it through the Facebook group? That's kind of shady. Cosiva is a distributor-sponsored direct sales company, which it's not the same as an MLM. Cosiva is a product-driven company, and the company does not require customers to sign up as distributors in order to purchase its product at discounted prices, nor does it give incentives for distributors to recruit their friends and family to distribute TRS. I am not the type of person to push products on people at all. I'm a very like, oh, you do you, you do life. But if you have any kind of issues yourself, autoimmune issues, anxiety, depression, food sensitivities, allergies, seasonal allergies, that kind of thing, you can totally benefit from TRS. And if your children have any kind of apraxia, dyslexia, ADHD, autism, Asperger's, food allergies, yeast issues, behavioral issues, that all could be heavy metal toxicity related. And if you've been looking for something to help with those issues, or if you're just kind of throwing your hands up, I don't know what else to try, give TRS a try. I mean, you might as well. And it could very well change your life. It has honestly changed mine and my son's life, and I am just over the moon happy. So like I said, I am going to be putting more information in the description box. So if you want to do more research about what zeolites are and what they do and how they work in the body to rid heavy metals, I will put that below. I'll also put the name of the TRS group, and just if I think of more information, I will put that down there as well. So that is it for today's video. I know it was a long one. If you come all the way to the very end, then I want to give you a huge thank you for sitting through this video with me, and I wish you happy healing if you decide to jump on board with TRS. If you liked any part of this video or found it helpful, would you please give it a thumbs up? And if you want to see more videos from me, then be sure to subscribe. I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.